Hello, and welcome to another tutorial. For EE400D, we're going to be going over a printed circuit board layout today. We are going to talk about, we're just going to go over that really quickly, seeing as PDR is coming up, and that should be accomplished before PDR. So here we've got our schematic. Just going to jump into it. In the last tutorial, we built the schematic. And if you didn't follow along in the last tutorial, I'm going to just link this schematic in the description in case you want to follow along with this one, or on the website. Okay, so we're just going to open up the schematic first of all. Once you have your schematic here, so we're going to be using the Blinky board again. Again, this is based on a much longer tutorial on YouTube that I'm hoping to cut down and just erase all the fluff. Just give you what you need to get the project done. So first of all, you're going to hit this switch to board button, and what it's going to do, it's going to ask you if you want to make this schematic into a PCB, and you're going to click yes. And from here we have the board. Now we're all using the free version of Eagle, so this is how big our board can be, and thankfully we don't have too many pieces here. We're all using the free version, so to start moving things, you're going to want to move use the move button, and just pick things up from the center, start placing them on your board. Some things to notice is that you've got these air wires, is what they're called, and they just represent the electrical connections that you've already predefined on your circuit. From your schematic, I mean. So I'm just going to throw everything on here and then arrange it as we go. So basically, you just use the move button to move all the stuff on here. And there's just some things you want to, pay attention to as you're organizing these components. First, you want to make the shortest connections possible. It's just more efficient that way. You also want to design it so that it has the least amount of vias. Via is what connects the top part of the circuit board to the bottom part of the circuit board. So you want to design it so it uses the least amount of vias. So short lines, lowest amount of vias, and those are basically a few rules to the design, and we'll get into a little more detail with that. So I'm going to pause it real quick. I'm going to finish arranging this. I'm just going to rotate. To rotate, you just click the rotate button and click on it. It's very similar to the schematic layout, and I'll be back when I'm done organizing. Alright, so we have all of the we have everything set up the way we want it to, just some easy movement of parts and rotating them. The next thing we want to do is, because we've been moving all these things around, and there's a lot of connections to VCC and to ground and to whatnot, we were going to want to click the rat's nest button. And what the rat's nest button is going to do is it's going to just redefine or remake all the air wires that we have to make them the shortest distance possible. And so it cleans it up quite a bit. And so it looks a lot nicer. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to want to adjust the size of our board. Just to make it, we don't want our board to be ginormous, so we're just gonna bring it down a little bit. Alright. Now I've been told that we want to leave the board at the origin, so we're just gonna leave that there. It's leaving the board centered at the origin just makes it easier for production, from what I've been told. So we want to leave that there. And if we want to make it shorter, we can select all of our components. If we want to make it neater, we can select all of our components and move them all maybe closer to this side, and then bring it in a little bit more. There. Okay. So next what we're going to do is we are going to define a ground pour. So basically there's a lot of connections to ground here, And what we're going to do is we're going to define the entire board that's not conducting ground. So before we do that, I'm going to turn on the grid, just make things a little easier to map. And what the ground board does is it makes it easier to connect to ground throughout the board. It helps dissipate heat, so if you're running things that'll get hot, and yeah, just good. I mean, you don't have to do it, but I think it makes things easier. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click the polygon. Okay, so we're gonna click. We're gonna fill in the ground pour, and sorry for the jump. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty. So we're gonna fill in the ground pour. We're gonna make sure that the layer's on top, and what you're gonna do is you're just gonna draw a polygon around your board here, and there we go. And what we're gonna do from here is we're gonna rename this polygon ground. So we're gonna name it GND. And what that's going to do is it's going to tell Eagle that we want this to be connected to ground, or in other words, we want this polygon to be ground. So we're going to click rat's nest, and now everything that was connected to ground is now going to be grounded on here. A little bit difficult to see, but what we can see if we zoom in is that the things that weren't supposed to be connected to ground have a little bit of a buffer around them. And the things that are connected to ground, like this R4, we can see a clear connection. And so that's lovely. I'm going to turn off the grid now so we can see a little bit better. All right. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All right, guys. Now we're just going to be doing a little bit of house cleaning, a little bit of making your board a little bit easier to read, a little bit nicer to look at. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to show you how to change the colors here of pretty much anything. Here we have, so these are the layers that we have, and we've got a lot of them. But it basically shows you the colors of everything. So the top is going to be red, the bottom is going to be blue, the pads are green. And to make our labels here a little bit easier to read, what we're going to do is we're going to go to names. Here we are. I'm just going to make them white. I'm going to make them white just to be a little bit easier to read. Okay, we can also do the same thing with the values if we so wish. Make the values white. Let's just do it all white. That way they really pop out on our screen. All right, so we're gonna hit OK. Look at that, boom. We can see and read everything. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just clean up a little bit more. Sorry again about the choppiness, more technical difficulties. We're gonna use Smash. It's this button right here, and what this is going to do is that Smash separates the component from its text. So as you can tell, when we were moving them originally, this resistor here had, whenever we move the resistor, its value and its name would move with it. But now with Smash, it separates the value from the name, or the component from the value and the name. And so now that they're separate, we can move our 4 around, or we can move just the 100 around. And really what I'd like to do is, we know the values of these things. And so I'm just going to delete the values here. So we're going to delete the value. We'd want to keep the, you don't have to keep the names, but I'd want to keep the names just so, in case of troubleshooting, then you can just look on your schematic at what the names were. But the values, I don't see a reason to keep those. So we did that, and it makes our board a little bit cleaner. Now another thing we can do, as you can see, it kind of when you pick up an item, it kind of snaps in a direction, right? Well, if you want to have a little bit more precision in where you go, you can hold down the Alt key. So here we have, you can see it jump and jump and jump. Well, when we hold the Alt key, we have a little bit more precision. And if you need even more precision, we can go back up to the grid, and we can redefine the grid. And so the jumps, if we'll turn the grid on, the jumps are, it just jumps from square to square. The same spot, the middle of each square is where you see it jumping to. And when we define the grid, we can make these individual squares here smaller or larger, and the alt grid is the grid you use when you hold down the alt key, so you can make that larger or smaller as well. It just helps for the placement when you're trying to place things and making things look nice. So yeah. Okay, so we're going to start moving a little more quickly. Now we're just about ready to do the auto root. What we're going to do first is we're going to go to net classes, and we're going to give the auto router some rules. So this net classes tells the auto router what rules it has to follow in order to connect our components. And so what we're going to do is, we're just going to give it some basic widths. We're going to go 12 here, 20 here, and delete 25 here, and then 10 here. So basically the width is the width of the channel that the current runs through, the drill is the size of the drill that gets put through the board for vias, and the clearance is how much space between each wire you want. Now the reason for other net classes would be, this is pretty small, but if you had a wire or something that was carrying a lot of current, then you'd want to increase it. So if you had like a really high power source with a lot of voltage running through it, a lot of current running through it, then you would want to use a second class for that and make it bigger. Let's see here. So for the auto router, we're just going to let it do its thing, and we're going to let it go. Awesome. So immediately we see some kind of issues where the middle here has kind of been disconnected from the rest of the ground pour, and we're going to fix that really quick. Okay, so we're going to take care of this problem where this does not have a ground in it. It's been isolated. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw another polygon, just like we did before. And we're going to make sure it's on the bottom section because we're going to add this ground layer on the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing as we did last time. Just draw a polygon around our board here. Same thing, we're going to rename it ground. Click on yield rat's nest button. Oh, well, there's nothing down there connected to ground yet, so we're going to put that there. We're going to put this here. So that's a via. The via connects the top side of the board to the bottom side of the board, and well, look at that. The top side was grounded, the bottom side was not grounded. When we connected the via, connecting the top to the bottom, it immediately had something to latch onto. So now we can hit rat's nest, and it'll work out. We could place vias wherever we see fit, or wherever it might be isolated, just in case. Make sure there's a good ground connection everywhere. And we're just going to want to rename all of these to ground. And it'll fill in where it can, what it can. That way it knows. Sweet. So the last thing that I want to do is here really quickly before we end here is to add a hole, so that we're going to put it down here in the bottom corner so that we can put a screw through this and not have to worry about shorting something. Okay, now we're going to click rat's nest. So we've got a hole there. It's given us some space around the copper so that we don't, so we can put a screw there and won't short anything. If you want to, you can even move the hole closer to the edge. Closer to the edge, hit rat's nest again, and it'll give you a nice spot to put it on. The last thing is that you can also add text if you want to. You can add some text, draw some text. Just when you put some text, when you put text, you can enter your text here. Just make sure it's on one of the like T place, that you don't want it on the top or the bottom because that's gonna go directly on the copper. But other than that, this board is ready to go out. Thanks, guys. That's pretty much it. Thanks. Bye bye.